Let me switch over. Three, two, one. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Leaders Arise webinar series. We are here this evening for our second segment, and we have this evening lined up a very, very special guest. Thank you, user, for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know you've been waiting to come on to segment 2 from 4 o'clock and really welcome P, welcome Mrs. P and Papi. We are here ready for you, ready for the second segment, Jojo and Donna. This morning we did Starting a Business 101, and we learned how to do idea generation through using the funneling method of micro and macro screening. And the recording is there online for you to watch for those who missed it this morning. Yes, so you can join Holistic Healing Ministries Jamaica and see what we did, how to start a business, what are the personal characteristics that you need to become an entrepreneur, and idea generation, what are the factors affecting entrepreneurs. But in this segment, we will be looking on leadership, and we will be assessing strategic leadership by using transferable skills. Thank you, Dilton. Welcome, Christine. Welcome, BBW. Welcome, Jasmine. Welcome, Anne-Marie. So I have a very special guest. She's all the way from the other side of the globe, right? So it is in the morning. Her time is actually Saturday morning now. And she's here to share with us her knowledge, her expertise. She is a Jamaican by birth, but I want her to introduce herself for you. She is Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, as we have advertised on our poster, and she will be speaking on strategic positioning through transferable skills. Dr. Larty, a very special welcome to you from GCNS Co-working Space and the Creative Biz Coach. Let me pin you, bring you on screen. Here we see Dr. Larty. I'm going to unpin myself so you can be up front and center, sharing with those who are watching online. Say hi to the people on TikTok and on YouTube.
Welcome. Hello, viewers. It's so great to be here. Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, and I'm really excited to be part of this GCNS co-working space. I'm really excited that I'm going to be sharing with you today.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And a very special welcome to those at the meet and greet in Philadelphia. All right, I'm just going to drown out my sound because it's raining. It's raining in Philadelphia and it's raining here in Jamaica as well. So only in Australia alone do you have nice and bright and sunny weather, Dr. Larty. But nevertheless, we're going to have a great time teaching the people online. Okay, welcome Oral, Assertive, Ernest, Dilton. We have quite a few people here and more are coming on TikTok. So go right ahead, Stephanie, introduce yourself, let them know you are, and go into your presentation.
All right, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really, really grateful, as I said before, to be part of what is happening here. I am...
Hold on 1 second. Let's pause for a moment. I'm getting a feedback. Hold on. Just a minute, viewers. I have to mute the not Facebook, the YouTube. All right, that's what has been giving us some feedback. Let's go back to the Zoom. We're using 3 platforms. We're using Zoom, YouTube, and it's muted. Okay. No, go right ahead, Stephanie. You can continue.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, and I'm really, really delighted to be joining you in this very special session today. And my task here is to take you through a topic called strategic positioning and true transferable skills. I'll introduce the topic and then I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in just a moment. All right. So today, my role is to really help you to understand a little bit more about this topic called strategic positioning through transferable skills. And as I said before, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, I'm the director of Arete Professional Consulting. I'm an epidemiologist, and I am also a research and evaluation specialist, etc., etc. Today, the content I'm going to walk you through is I'll give you a bit of an overview of strategic positioning. We will look at transferable skills. We'll look at how you can use transferable skills to strategically position. We're going to talk about translating your transferable skills and also talk a little bit about why transferable skills are important for the future. All right, so a little bit about me. I am a qualified environmental health officer. I started my career as an environmental health officer in Jamaica over 27 years ago. And then later I transitioned into the field of infectious disease epidemiology. And I completed a doctoral degree in Australia where I've specialized in public health epidemiology. I have also developed extensive skills in research and evaluation. So I work as a research and evaluation specialist. I do quite a few things in my spare time. I am a recording artist. I'm a singer and a songwriter. I do speak at different occasions like I'm doing today. I'm also a marketing strategist, and I am a published author. I am also an ordained minister of religion, and people sometimes refer to me as a general techie. All right. So I've got multiple skills. And one of the reasons why I feel qualified to talk about this topic of strategic positioning through transferable skills is based on this, because I've been able to use skills that I've gained in one area and translate them into multiple areas. And that's made me a very well-rounded person. So let's take a closer look at where we are. All of us have experienced multiple changes that have taken place around the globe in the last 3.5 years, especially. These changes are not new. Some of these changes have been happening over the last 30, 40 years. But in the last 3.5 years, a lot of these changes have been accelerated or they have sped up. All right. If you look at these photos that I have on this screen here, we see that these are things. So let's say from my far left, you see someone, and if you can't see that, this is a person holding marbles in their hands. When we were children, over 40-something years ago, we used to play with marbles. We used to go outside in the dirt, and we play with each other using our marbles, footballs. And for those of us who are from the developing world who didn't have the sophisticated toys, we would create our own toys from, the garbage around us, use a juice box or a drink bottle and the bottle cap to make wheels. And we used to make a wonderful little car or something to play with. And then as time went on, things just began to move from one stage to the other. One of the most remarkable transformation we have seen is the transformation in technology. And let's use the music industry as an example. Now, the center photograph, if you see on the top left, that the yellow thing is what we call a cassette. Now, most people under the age of 25 would not have a clue what a cassette is. Yes, they would have no idea what a cassette is because they were born in an era where they got exposed, some of them, to a floppy disk, to the disc, the CD and the DVD. And on the top right there, you see that's an iPod. That you know, that's what those were the first little devices before we had a smartphone. We used to have these iPods that we could stream our music, and this was a revolution in the way we could listen to music electronically. But in the past, we used to have these CD cassettes and the vinyl, which is at the bottom, and the records. Yeah, this records. And then 45. Vinyl. Yes, the 45s and the LPs and so on. And these transferred to the CD and the DVD, which is the one in the middle. And then we got to our iPods, and then now we have our smartphones. I still have an iPod that works, but I haven't used it for such a long time. And you know, the technology around us has changed. With the change in the technologies, that has also required a change in the way we do things. And this is where this whole idea of taking the skills that we have from one area to another area has become increasingly important for us. And so, as you can see on that far right, there's a father and a son, and they have a laptop computer. And most of our children at this, when I was in my late 20s, I learned how to use a computer. Well, I have a child and he's 6 years old, and even when he was 3, he was able to type on a computer. So you can see that the world in which we live is changing. And in the last couple of years, the acceleration, the speed at which the changes have occurred is significantly increased, which then means that we as people must keep up to pace with which things are changing. And we also need to have the skills that are required to keep up with this change. Hence, today's topic of speaking of strategic positioning through transferable skills. So you may be asking, what is strategic positioning? Well, strategic positioning is a way of making your business stand out from the rest by offering better value to your customers. Or if you don't have a business, you could say it's a way of as an individual making themselves stand out from other people in the marketplace or in the workplace by offering better value to their employers and to the customers of their organization. Now, this strategic positioning can help you to gain a competitive advantage over other similar businesses or other people in the marketplace that are interested in the position that you want. So if you're looking for a career change, or you're looking for a promotion, or you're looking for an horizontal transfer or transferring to another business or another area in your organization, it's really important that you understand what strategic positioning means. And strategic positioning essentially is what is going to give you that competitive edge, that competitive advantage over other people that will strategically position you to succeed. So to achieve strategic positioning, what usually happens is there are a few things that you need to do. First of all, you need to identify your target market and understand their needs, their preferences, their pain points. If you're an individual in the marketplace, your strategic positioning requires that you understand what the job that you do or the one you are looking for requires, and what is that need that they have that you can solve that can set you apart. It's important to analyze your competitors, find out their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. So if you're running a small business, this is really critical. You need to define your unique value proposition and how it differs from your competitors. everybody brings something special to that position, that job. And if you are operating a business, something that you are going to bring that sets you apart from others is going to be that added value that you will bring. It's important that you will be able to communicate your value proposition clearly and consistently to your target market through your branding, your marketing, your customer service. And oftentimes, there are people who will bring these added value, but their customer service is so poor. Have you seen something that pops up in your area, like a new franchise or a new type of business, could be a fast food entity? And when I was in Jamaica years ago, and some of these overseas franchises would come, and they would at first, they would create all these beautiful physical appearances, and you would go for the first 2 weeks, and everything would be nice and rosy. But after about a month or so, you would go back, and then they would employ some new workers, and the customer service would be so bad, and that would turn people off. It's important that to achieve your strategic positioning, you also monitor your performance and feedback from your customers and adjust your strategy accordingly. So your feedback, it's really important that feedback is taken on board. And one of the things that I personally do as an individual, as a consultant, or as a professional at work, whenever I do something, I embed a survey or an evaluation in it. There are many people who are afraid of feedback, but let me tell you, feedback is valuable and useful. Don't be scared of negative comments, because even the negative feedback is important, because if you know what people are thinking from a negative perspective, that will help you to identify the areas that you need to work on. So strategic positioning is the way you offer better value to your customers, and this gives you a competitive edge. Now, there are some companies that they have strategically positioned themselves to have a competitive advantage. Many of us know about Apple. In fact, a lot of you who are watching this today may say you have an iPhone, or you have a MacBook, or an Apple product. I spoke about the iPod, which was developed by the Apple company. Apple has strategically positioned themselves and distinguished themselves as a leader in innovation, right? They have strategically positioned themselves as a leader in innovation design. We know the amazing product. It offers premium products and services that appeal to the customer who value quality, aesthetics, and simplicity. Apple also creates a loyal fan base by creating a sense of community and exclusivity among its customers. And all of us, I personally, my very first phone that I bought when I came to Australia was an Apple iPhone. I had a BlackBerry before when I was in Jamaica, but then I got here, and Apple, an iPhone 4 was my very first phone. And since then, every single phone I've owned has been an Apple phone. Then I had a tablet, then I had my kids have MacBooks, and Apple has created something. So because I had an iPhone, and all the phones that I bought for the children were iPhones, because I could monitor what the children were doing from my iPhone. And then they needed iPad, they need a tablet for school, so I bought an iPad. And so this is what they're talking about, creating a loyal fan base by creating a sense of community and exclusivity. Let's talk about Walmart. For those of you in the US and in other areas that experience Walmart, Walmart has positioned itself as a low-cost leader in the retail industry. Walmart often offers a wide range of products and services at lowest possible prices. And they also leverage their economies of scale, efficient supply chain, and distribution network to reduce their cost and pass on the savings to their customers. And so if you have experience working with Walmart, anytime, whenever I travel to the US, if I need, things, low cost thing, that is my go-to shop. And many of us can testify about that. There's another company now that's called Costco, which has also positioned themselves in a similar category, but they also have the sense of community where you can buy things at a wholesale scale. Starbucks is another company. They have positioned themselves as a provider of high quality coffee and a third place between home and work. In Australia, we have Gloria Jeans that does a similar thing, right? It offers a variety of coffee, drinks, and food items that cater to different tastes and preferences. So Starbucks also create this cozy and inviting atmosphere in its store that encourages people to want to stay there a bit longer and enjoy the experience. And if you stay longer, it means you may order something else. And this is how companies have used that value proposition. They have identified the value proposition. What is it that they can do differently from other people in this sector that makes them stand out and adds an extra layer of value that will attract a certain group of people? And this is what strategic positioning is about. So then, we've understood what strategic positioning is about. So what exactly is transferable skills? Individuals can likewise position themselves to stand out from others. As I started off several minutes ago to say that the world in which we live is changing, and the demand for certain skills and attributes is changing as well. So as the world in which we are working in and living in is changing, as the marketplace becomes more innovative, begins to develop more technological influences, it means that the skills that we need, the skills that we want, must also position us so we can make the most of the marketplace. So individuals can position themselves to stand out from others by offering this better value to their customers or to their employers. This can help you gain a competitive edge in the workplace, right? This can help you in your job applications to increase your employability and your profitability. Transferable skills are the skills that you can use in different jobs and industries, regardless of your specific role or field. They include skills such as communication skills, problem solving, teamwork, leadership, learning, and more. They are valuable because they show your potential and your adaptability to employers who are looking for candidates with a diverse and versatile skill set. So this is what transferable skills are. They are the skills that you have developed over your professional life, whether through your natural life or through just your day-to-day life in the workplace, through a specific role or job, that you can take from one role or field to another. So they are more generic, and I'll speak a little bit more about this as we go along. So let's look at some examples of transferable skills. So we have communication skills, and communication skills is basically about your ability to express yourself clearly and effectively, both verbally and in writing, as well as listen and respond. So oftentimes people are good at speaking and writing clearly, but they probably could fall down with the listening and the responding. So communication is really around the holistic approach to communication. These skills are essential for any role that involves interacting with others. This helps you to offer premium products and services that appeal to customers who value quality and aesthetics and simplicity, right? Such as, you need to be able to communicate that. Problem solving is another transferable skill. So in almost any field, whether you're a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, a shoemaker, a dressmaker, a shopkeeper, you need to be able to solve problems. This is the ability to find solutions to complex and challenging issues using logic, creativity, and analytical thinking. Problem-solving skills are useful for any role that involves dealing with uncertainty, change or conflict. And if you are like me, you could very well say that any role you have ever been in, there's always been something that requires you to deal with change. There's something that in my field, in the public health field, there's always a sense of unpredictability, uncertainty around certain things. So these roles are important in fields such as engineering, consulting, project management, and entrepreneurship. Teamwork skills are super important, and this is the ability to work well with others, collaborate, share ideas, support common goals. So with teamwork, these skills are very important for any role that involves working in a group or with different stakeholders, such as software development, healthcare, hospitality, education, childcare, even in the disability sector. If anything that requires you to work with other people will involve some teamwork skills. Leadership skills. This is the ability to inspire, motivate, guide others, as well as to take initiative, to make decisions, and to take responsibility. Leadership skills are valuable for any role that involves managing people or projects. So basically, anywhere that you can get a job, that if it doesn't matter if you're a service station, if you're working the gas station, a service station, pumping gas, and you are the supervisor or the team leader, you need leadership skills. Wherever you are, it's not just for the sophisticated roles like human resources or operations or finance and politics. All of these roles require some leadership skills. The next set of skills are the learning skills. This is the ability to acquire new knowledge and skills quickly and effectively, so as well as apply them in different contexts. Learning skills are vital for any role that requires continuous improvement. And this issue about continuous improvement is something that a lot of people fail to understand. If you plan to get ahead in life, if you plan to have a competitive advantage, you must think about continually improving yourself. So you can't be employed in 1997 and in 2023, you still can't hold a mouse. You can't be a teacher and you have been working for 2 to 3 years, but you still haven't learned how to develop basic spreadsheets or templates like that. So you must be continually improving yourself. Identify areas in your life where there are skills that you lack, and you continue to work on those aspects of your professional learning. So this continuous improvement, innovation, adaptation, and these skills are really, really important in areas like research, design, technology, or art. But in any role that you are in, your learning skills are really, really critical. The next one is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to evaluate, to synthesize, to evaluate, to analyze information in an objective manner in order to produce an original insight or judgment. And this is one of the things that I do on a daily basis. So my job will often prompt me and to think more deeply about an issue. So in my role as a research and evaluation manager, I often have to support a very large team of a couple thousand people with their various projects or their clinical work to identify where issues are in their particular area. Think deeply about how do we understand the issue, what research questions we need to apply, and how we are going to apply the right methodology or the right study design to come up with that insight or judgment about the situation. So this critical thinking skill is required across multiple sectors. So it could be if you're producing products or ideas or policies that you need to conceptualize, you need this critical thinking skill. And of course, adaptability. This is the ability to quickly adjust to new situations. And many people struggle with adaptability. We are so used to the familiar that whenever change happens, we become uncomfortable and we are out of our comfort zone. So a person who is adaptable is not only comfortable entering unfamiliar environments, but they're also comfortable to face new challenges, and they often succeed in these situations. So these are some examples of transferable skills. And as we go through this, I'm going to be introducing more transferable skills because this is not the whole list. So I've told you about strategic positioning, and I've now described what the transferable skills. So how do you strategically position yourself through transferable skills? Well, strategic positioning through transferable skills is the process of using your skills that are relevant and applicable across different industries and roles to gain a competitive advantage in the job market. So you are taking the skills and the experience you've got from one place, and you are not just thinking about it in your head, but you are strategically thinking about these skills, organizing yourself, doing that critical analysis of the job market or the marketplace, and identifying and highlighting how these skills can demonstrate your own value and the potential that you are bringing to your employer or to your business that will set you apart from other candidates. And this is how you are able to adapt these diverse skills to new environments. So how do you do it? Firstly, it's important to identify. You must identify your transferable skills. Highlight your transferable skills and then market your transferable skills. So then you might be asking me, so Stephanie, how do I identify my transferable skills? Well, I'll tell you. You can do this by reviewing your past experience. So you can look at your work experience, your education experience, your experience gained through hobbies or volunteer roles. And then you identify those skills that you have used and developed in each of these situations. And after that, you will select the ones that are most relevant and applicable to this new role or this new business, this new industry that you are planning to go into. All right. So the next thing you can do is to highlight your transferable skills. I'll come back and I'll go into a little bit more detail. I'm just introducing each of these concepts. Highlighting your transferable skill, you can do this by creating a resume and cover letter that showcase your transferable skills using concrete examples and achievements. You can also use online platforms, etc. You market your skills by networking with people. You make sure that when you're going for a job interview, you are highlighting those skills that you have, etc. I'm going to go into a little bit more details. So how do you identify your transferable skills? Well, the first step to identify your transferable skill is to understand what are some of the common transferable skills that you actually have. Now, when I was defining transferable skills, I went through a group of about 7 different high-level transferable skills. What I've done here, and I hope you can see what I'm showing you on the screen, is how we can even organize these skills into different higher level skills. And your transferable skills can be soft skills, like the more people-related skills. And then you can have hard skills, which are more technical skills. There are skills that we can categorize as organizational and execution skills. These are things like time management, analytics and research, administration and clerical skills, financial management, public speaking, literacy skills, negotiation skills. These are more skills that are used at the organizational level. And many leaders will look for, if you're hiring someone in a managerial position, or you're looking for someone in a leadership or strategic position, some of these skills will be those that you are really looking for. And some of the roles also will be based on these skills. So you will have someone who's in charge of research and analytics. You'll have an administration or clerical person because they have these skills. Someone who does financial management will have financial management skills, etc., and so on. You have the communication skills like listening, writing, interviewing. One of the critical skills, and I actually haven't included it here, is engagement, community engagement. If you work in the community-based sector, in the health sector, or in some of these multilateral organizations, and if you work in the development context, which I have done quite a lot internationally, community engagement is a critical skill, and it often involves some of these communication skills like listening and having the face-to-face engagement with people, providing feedback, interviewing, running a focus group. These are critical skills. The people skills such as counseling and empathy, flexibility, patience, dependability, these are really soft skills, and these are skills that can really help you to stand out. So if I'm interviewing 2 or 3 people, they've got these high-level organizational and executional skills. They may have some of these critical leadership skill or the other skills like data analysis or the hard skills or the technical skills. What often separates the people who gets a job compared to the person? So if you have both people equivalently qualified with equivalent experience, it comes down to these soft skills. I was part of an interview panel last week interviewing, and I interviewed 2 people for a job. Both of them they had very impressive resumes. They were very qualified, very senior people that came, and like we were thinking, how on earth are we going to be able to distinguish between these people? And let me tell you something, in that interview, it was clear from the get-go who the preferred candidate was. The candidate that was able to communicate so effectively, the person lit up the room, the person brought their whole selves and they were able to speak, and they added value to what we were asking them, and they just shone so brightly. And it was so clear that yes, both of these people were equally, or they were very qualified for the job, but one person was able to distinguish themselves in that interview with the way they communicated. The body language was amazing. All right. So how do you go about finding? So yes, I've told you about this long list of transferable skills. So now you're thinking, so how do I know if I have these skills? How do you identify them? Well, let's get into it. So first, you identify the skills that you exhibit, right? So how do you do it? You can have a think about the previous jobs, your hobbies, your volunteer positions, and you start to make a list. Yeah, write a list of these transferable skills, and you can search online and you can look for the transferable skills checklist. This is a checklist that will help you to it's a list of different transferable skills categorized by the different areas, and you can go through that list and identify the ones that you believe you have. And, thinking about your former role, and how do you find out these things? Well, if you go back to your old job description, for each of your previous jobs, each job will talk about the different skills that they require. So you can use your job description to identify all the skills that you've had to use in that job. So go back, think about the former job. If you have a checklist, fine. If you don't, then you make your own list and you can group them. And let me tell you, put everything on that list. Anything you think of, don't leave anything out, because even the simplest of skill matters. The next thing you do is to write down all the ways that you have used each of these skills in both your personal and professional life. Try to be as comprehensive as possible and make sure you write down all the ways in which you embodied that skill, right? So in my previous slide, I spoke about some of the skills. You can look at all these skills here. the organizational skills and executional skills, communication, people skills, leadership skills, and other skills, etc. So you can write down all the ways in which you've exhibited those skills, right? The next thing you want to do is to identify the 5 skills that have been the most impactful for you in your professional and personal life. So let me give you an example. When I started this presentation, I put up a slide that told you about all the different things that I do. And I basically do all these things full time. I started my career as an environmental health officer. And some of the skills that I have used in my very early years was community engagement. I had to go to people's homes. I had to inspect their homes. I had to talk to people, provide health education to them. I had to enumerate, basically, I have to collect data and analyze that data and provide a report. Now, every single job that I've had since my role in environmental health has included every single one of those skills. I'm great with community engagement. I have worked at the international level in the international organizations, and one of the skills that I have used effectively is my community engagement skill. Now, when you are working at a certain level, that community engagement skill is no longer just at the community, the grassroots. My community has now become important stakeholders, heads of government, organizations, leaders. So that community engagement skill that I developed in my very primary role as a very first level or environmental health officer, I'm now using that to communicate with governments and high-level senior officials around the world. All right. So it's important to identify the skills that have been most impactful in your professional and personal life. And then, the next thing you do is to jot down any achievements for each skill on your shortlist. So remember, in the third one is you shortlisting. You are going to shortlist these skills that you've developed and look for those ones that you think have been the ones that have really been your strongest skills, the one that have set you apart. You may have won awards or people may have commented on them. In your annual performance review, your manager may have said, these are the skills that have set you apart. The other day I had my performance review and my manager said to me, your work ethic is impeccable. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. This is something that I've guarded with over my 27 and a half years as a professional. I don't take my work ethic lightly. I am a disciplined worker. I try to bring excellence on the job. And every job I've gone to, it has followed me and people always comment on it, right? So this is not something that I probably would have written down on my CV. But now that people have commented on it so many times, when I'm writing my statement, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about your resume and that high-level statement, you could also include that. So you could say you have been known for your work ethic. And I would see that if I'm reading your CV. I'm going to pick up that this person has been, applauded for their work ethic. So now you've jotted down your skills and you've shortlisted them. So now you want to add some achievement for each of these skills on your shortlist, right? And you're going to rank them now. You will rank this shortlist from the most impactful to the least impactful, all right? So let's say my shortlist, excuse me, let's say my shortlist included my analytical skills, because that's probably would be my top one. My engagement skill would probably come up really close. Critical thinking, my leadership skills are going to be way up there too. And then maybe I'll talk about my communication skills. Then I would rank them. So maybe I'll put critical thinking as number 1, and maybe leadership comes as number 2, the communication, and so on and so forth. And you are ranking them from the ones that you feel like this is my topmost skill. And this will help you to have a clear sense of what skills have served you well so far. So basically what you are doing, you are using this process of identifying your transferable skills, but you're also having a critical analysis of how these skills have helped you along the way. You're not just writing the skills down, you're also thinking about, what have I achieved using these skills? The second thing that you want to do to strategically position yourself is to highlight your transferable skills. So we've already identified them and we've made a list and we've categorized them and we've ranked them. But now we want to highlight them. So you know about your transferable skills. Yeah, so what? Now it's time for you to be able to make sure that other people see and know and understand that these are the skills you are bringing to the table, and this is what sets you apart from other candidates. So you are going to highlight your transferable skills in your resume and your cover letter. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you can really fix up your resume. So you are going to include a list of your skills as bullet points that highlights both your human skills or the soft skills and your technical skills. Remember that both sets of skills are critical and important, because you can have all the technical skills in the world, but without the soft skills or the human skills, you really are incomplete. So they go hand in hand, because the last thing I want to do is to hire someone who is so technically competent, but is impossible to work with. While you are doing this, you want to also make sure that you are using concrete examples. So in your resume, you've highlighted your skills with your bullet points, but with your cover letter, you want to make sure that for the role that you're applying, you are then taking these skills that you have highlighted and you're providing those concrete examples. Remember, in step number 4 of identifying your skills, I said you should jot down some key achievements for each skill on your shortlist. So this is how that becomes really helpful for you. It's when you're applying for a job, so you've seen this job advertised and the title doesn't fit the role you are in, but you are looking for something new. You want to make a change, especially with a lot of industries having closed down. People are diversifying. There's a lot more artificial intelligence and the higher use of technology. Maybe you're just looking for something new. And you've seen a job, you like the sound of the job, and when you look at the job description and the selection criteria, you recognize that a lot of the skills for that job are skills that you currently have. But this is your first time that you're going to be working in this industry. So the thing here is, how do you let these people know that although I am coming from a different industry, or although I am coming from a different environment, that I have the skills and that added advantage, that cutting edge that you are looking for? The way you do this is by providing concrete examples. And you need to now also highlight those achievements. All right? It's really important that you highlight those achievements. The next thing you want to do is to write your resume objective. And I mentioned that earlier, that those compliments, those really nice things that people share about you when you get feedback from the work you do, your customer, this is why that customer feedback is really important. You get an idea of who you really are. How do your clients and your customers and your managers and your bosses see you? You can use some of that to inform this short statement that goes at the top of your resume to summarize your skills. So in my resume, you may see something like professional epidemiologist with extensive research and evaluation experience working in local, national, and international context, bringing a cutting-edge research and analytics and critical analytical skills backed by a solid work ethic, something like that. I'm just making it up. But if I probably would say that about myself. So that's a short statement that basically says to the person who is about to read your resume, who is this person that you are about to interview, and what is it that this person has that sets them apart. Then the next thing you want to do is to customize your resume for each job. It's really important that you customize your resume for each job. And in customizing your resume, it means you are looking at what the people are advertising. What is the job that these people want done? What are the key achievements or the critical roles and objectives that they want to be carried out? What are the critical skills they're looking for? And then you are going to make a new version of your resume that focuses on answering. When I pick up that resume, I want to see how your experience matches up with this job that I've advertised. And so it's really important that you try to customize your resume. And a very critical area is making sure that the keywords and requirements that they have mentioned in the job, that you use the same words in your resume. So you are adjusting your resume to match what they are looking for. So let's take a little bit more look at that. Let's take have a further look at the resume. There are various different resume formats, and it's important that you understand these formats so you can use them to your advantage. So we have the chronological resume, and this lists your work history in reverse chronological order, starting with your most recent position at the top. So your chronological resume is the traditional resume. You know, it's a very traditional format where you start off with your work history and your most recent position at the top, and then you go down to the oldest. Then it will include your education and so on, etc. The functional resume. So the chronological resume, for example, is useful for someone who is just starting out in their career. If you just have one work experience or you're a new graduate just leaving high school, use the chronological order because you don't have a lot to show. So you're basically showing your educational history. Remember also, if you're a young person and you are just entering the job market, you've had a few roles at school, list them. And one of the things I'd love to say to you is, if you're new, if you're just graduating from school and you haven't had a paid job, that's fine. But include all the committees you've sit on at school or the roles you've volunteered on. If they had a fish fry and you volunteered to sell tickets, put it there. Every experience matters, and all of those experiences help you to develop skills. So put that in your chronological resume. Just list it. And as I said, it's for people who don't have a lot of work experience and you just want to list them, just state what is there. The functional resume is a skills-based resume that focuses on your skills and your qualifications rather than your work history. So if you're a really highly skilled person, people in the creative industry, technological industries, they oftentimes use this functional resume. And if you're really looking to showcase your skills, the functional resume is the one you turn to. It really focuses on your skills. The third one is the combination resume, where it's a hybrid. So it has both the chronological and the functional resume in one. And for someone like me who's got 27, almost 28 years of experience, I have a combination resume. I highlight my skills and I also highlight my work history, because at my level, people are interested in my skills, but they also want to see what I've done in the past, right? But if you want to strategically position yourself and you are really looking at highlighting your skills, the functional resume is the one that you should go for. So this functional resume, as you can see here on the right side, it really zooms in on your qualification. You have a summary of your qualification, but you really go all out in structuring and strategically identifying your high-level skills, and then you can do a summary of the sub skills that falls under that. But of course, you still put your work history and your education, but it's not the feature. So the big highlight, as you can see, the B and the D on the right, on this example I'm showing you here, have taken up the largest part of the resume. So that's what we want people to see. And we, I mean, we're not really, maybe another time I'll come back and really talk to you about how to fix a resume.
It's a little dull, so we're not really seeing what's in B and D. So say what's in A, B, and C and D. It's very small.
A is your contact, B is your qualification summary, D is the relevant skill. So on the left side, the B, the orange and the pink, the yellow, that's the big feature. You want to show the qualification summary and your relevant skills. Make that so give at least 2/3 of your resume, feature it like that so you can see the skills are jumping off the page at you. All right. So here's a little example of my resume.
Question. So you actually put a picture on your resume? I thought that this wasn't encouraged, or is that a cultural thing? Does it depend on where you live? I'm actually seeing, hold on, let me put it up for you guys to see that she has her picture on.
I have a picture on my resume, ladies and gentlemen.
And it's in color?
It is in color. That's me. This is my resume. I have a picture of me on my resume. When you get to a certain
international standard or something where you can put charts, because we were taught to have it simple, keep it simple, and all that here in the English system.
So with this resume is for somebody who really has something to show. It depends on who you are and what you have to bring. I am a PhD graduate. I have tons of experience. And my resume is about 23 pages.
Merciful.
People don't want to read a 23-page
resume.
So if I really want to make
there's no way to bring it down to 2 pages just to say what the qualifications are, and it's not possible.
Not possible.
Based on the short courses you have done, and okay.
It's not possible. So what I have developed is what I call an infographic resume. This is for somebody who I want to have a sneak peek of who I am. All right. So if and I know this is not very big, but I'll zoom in a little bit, but I'm using this to answer Lisa Ann's question. So I've got a photograph up there because I am proud of who I am. This is who I am. This is what you're getting in this package.
So right? What about stigmatization, prejudice, and putting yourself at risk for that when you do that on your resume? Because that's what they say. You don't do that because you want fairness in the interview.
If I send my resume to an organization and when they see my face, they no longer want me, then I don't want to have been there in the first place.
Work there, okay.
Right? So I don't even want to set foot in that interview, because if that is the case, it means that if you can't deal with my photograph, you won't be able to deal with the full me.
So you don't want to waste your time to do the interview.
I don't even want to waste my time. Thank you very much. I don't want to waste my time. So this is not for everyone, by the way. This kind of resume is not for everyone. This resume is for someone who is loaded. If you have a story to tell, I'm like the creative biz coach is an entrepreneur, is a business coach, is an author. To really capture all of that in one place is difficult. But you could do an infographic or a visual resume to summarize what you're bringing. So I have over 50 plus publications. There's no way I can fit that in one page. But if you look to the right side of this one page, and all of this is one page, by the way, you will see I have research impact. And what I've done is to show people how many publications I've had, how many citations my publications have had and how many reads my work have had in a chart. Now, if they want to know what these 50 publications are, they can ask me and I can send them 12 pages of publications.
Wow.
But someone will pick this resume up and say, wow, this person has published a lot. Wow, they are making an impact because people are not only reading their publications, people are citing. I have more than I think I'm about maybe 1,500 citations by now. People have not only read my papers, people have referenced to them in their publications, right? Then at the bottom, I'm showing them like, what does that actually translate to in academic language? Yeah, the H index shows based on the number of publications I've had, how many times my publications on average have been referenced by someone else.
How would you know that it was referenced by someone else?
Or you can get that from your Google Scholar. You can track your metrics. You can set up a Google Scholar profile, and Google Scholar will automatically find any publication that has your name as an author, and then it will tell you every time someone else has cited that publication. It's very simple, and we can do a webinar.
So somebody
can do a webinar on that.
Here's book and use it as research.
Yes, and reference it. So I can show you, maybe we'll plan another day and we'll come and I talk a bit on the academic side, because I do a lot of, I have a bit of, so I do this as my academic side. Yeah. Wow. Now, at the bottom of this, you will also see that I have software proficiency. That's another, yeah. So I have a summary of the skills in the middle and my education. But on the side, I have another little chart that summarizes, and I'm sorry, there's an arrow on top of that. But it's showing that all my technical software proficiency, because I'm an epidemiologist. So if you're looking for someone who is looking for me, will want to know, this is a huge part of what an epidemiologist does. We have to be able to
be there. Was it supposed to be there?
The arrow is going to point to something else. So the arrow points to this.
Some of the summary skills as well.
Yes. So the arrow is showing you. So this is a summary of some of my previous roles. And the one in the middle, that's where I started off. In 1997, I started my job as a public health inspector, right? And in my resume, the word full page one, I have put a summary of all the different roles that I have done, which actually highlights my skill. But if you go around, you will see, if you go clockwise, I was a public health inspector. I went up the chain. I was the regional environmental health officer. Then I was Caribbean Burden of Illness coordinator. Then I came to Australia and I got my first job as a project manager. And how did I get that? I was always a public health inspector. I got my project manager job because of all the skills I gained as a public health inspector and a regional environmental officer and a research coordinator for the Caribbean Burden of Illness study. I got hired by a professor in my university when I was a PhD student, because she saw on my CV that I had coordinated a project in Jamaica and in the Caribbean. And she saw, this is how this whole idea of transferable skill came for me. After I finished my 2 years, so the project finished, I needed another job. I was still in my PhD, and another WHO collaborating center, the World Health Organization collaborating center in my university heard about me from other people who were talking about this amazing project officer who'd come from Jamaica, who didn't care what I looked like, but cared about the fact that I had delivered such an amazing job. And they hired me. This was my very first job as a monitoring and evaluation officer. I was going into my 3rd year of my PhD, and I got this job as a monitoring and evaluation officer. This job took me around the Pacific. This is how I got introduced to the Pacific. I was teaching people in countries like Papua New Guinea and all those countries how to do monitoring and evaluation. How did I know about that? If you notice before that, there's no role that talks about monitoring and evaluation. But as a public health inspector, one of the most important things that every inspector does is to monitor the health of the community. We monitor this through surveys. We monitor this through talking to people. We monitor this through the feedback. So in my
So you have
master's,
to know your job function. So you use your job function to pull out the skill set from
that
each
is
job
it.
that you have done and then recreate that type of resume. Wow.
Yes. So that is how I said, oh, but they need someone who can identify issues. They can develop a plan for how to address something, identify indicators and measure them. I know how to do that. I've done that for like 14 years in another job called public health. And so
So
that's how
I'm
I landed the
working,
role.
okay, I may be a food technologist now, but I started out by working in the hotel or hospitality sector.
Yes.
Initially, maybe fast food. I can make pizza. I can make
Yep.
burgers. I've worked as customer service. I'm a manager. All the skill set that I've learned from being a fry cook, from
Yes.
being able to make shakes,
Yep.
break it
Can I
down,
tell
and
you?
then and show
Can
that
I
okay,
tell
I have
you?
management skills, supervisory skills, the technical
Yes.
skills,
But you can also
people.
make a shake. So you
Yeah.
know how to bring ingredients together. It doesn't matter what. You can make a shake, so you know how to
Yeah.
follow a step-by-step recipe, right? So you
So
can
what you
transfer
call
that.
that? Making the step-by-step recipe, combining things. What would you use that to say you can do?
So you can follow procedures. It's a procedure.
Oh wow. So I'm
So
good at
you
following procedures.
procedures,
Wow.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And not only that, maybe you're a creative one too. So
So
you're a creative
innovation, I'm
one,
innovative because I made
innovative.
my own shake.
Yes. So you are
Interesting.
innovative. So you are
Mhm.
able to follow procedures. You know about innovation because you have come up with new designs and creative. Yeah, so you could be a pastry chef and you've worked in the hotel creating all these wonderful cakes all your life, but you're sick and tired of it. The industry has maybe fallen apart. The hotel has closed down because there's a pandemic. What do you do? But you always wanted to maybe teach. Maybe you've always
Mhm.
wanted to be a teacher. But
Mhm.
you said, well, I've always wanted to be a teacher. But listen to this, you always train the sous chef and all
Yeah.
the culinary chefs. You always teach them the new things, how to
Church,
design.
I teach those at church how to make cakes and
Church,
how to decorate
yes.
cakes.
So
Mhm.
now you're thinking, I've always wanted to be a teacher and this is my opportunity. So the hotel is not doing well. I have all these skills. So now you're thinking, okay, I'm listing my skills. Taught people how to do this. You have managed people. You have made creative, whatever. And say, hang on a second. I know how to do creative designs. So then that's a creative skill. So you can bring that, okay, but you have tons of experience teaching someone. So you have taught people in the hotel. So you are taking the ability to teach and transfer learning and skills to other people is a skill. It doesn't matter what subject you are teaching, as long as you are able to effectively get people to learn and understand, that means you have the skills. So now you want to be a teacher and you like children. Oh, I want to
Mhm.
teach in the kindergarten or in the early years. Oh, you are creative. Guess what? I need a teacher who is able to effectively teach children. So now you're bringing all that creativity. You're not making cupcakes and pies anymore, but you know how to mix colors. So you are teaching the children how to get their Play-Doh and create little things. This is how transferable skills work. All right. So let me run along.
So
Any
think
more questions?
international, that's something you would recommend because we're in a global arena right now, even though most of the jobs we might want maybe Jamaica, if those who are watching are from Jamaica right now. Yeah. Maybe modify your resume to one for international appeal because maybe you can work from home or maybe you can get a job abroad and have another one that maybe, what should I say, more traditional according to persons here in Jamaica. I'm wondering Is it that we're being taught the wrong way? Is it that human resource management, they've actually upgraded themselves and they're now expecting these beautiful, these flamboyant informatic resumes, and we don't
No,
realize?
no.
What is it? What are
The,
we
the,
missing?
the principles and the theories remain the same. What has happened is innovation and technology. 20 years. So I did my training course in, I have a diploma in management studies. And back then we had maybe smartphone, but back then I couldn't do a lot of stuff on my phone. Some of these creative designs, Google designs, those things didn't exist. Microsoft Word templates. So all we had was a Word document, or we had to write it by hand. But now what we have is technology. We have technology, and technology has given us resources that we can use to take the boring old traditional resume and make it become more visual. So so in the past, we would write it with a pen and a ruler, right? But now I don't need to do that. I have PowerPoint, I have Microsoft Word, I can use a Google document, I can use Google Slides, I can use Canva, I can use PictoChat. I can use so many things to create my resume. So what has happened is the idea of what I'm saying, it hasn't changed. It's that now I have all these creative resources at my fingertips that I can communicate that better. Can you imagine if I'm applying for a job with Bill Gates and I send them this boring traditional resume with line by line, whatever, and this guy owns Microsoft. He's got all the latest and I haven't used. So it's not that I won't get the job, but maybe the pretty one will grab his attention first. So what I'm saying is, so you don't have to use that sophisticated template. It's just showing you another way that you can do it, right? And if you go into your Microsoft Word, or if you don't have Microsoft or whatever documents templates you have, search for a resume template and you will see all these different nice even though without the picture and so on, you will see lovely templates that are very more modern with colors and so on that can really help to grab the attention of somebody who is looking at your resume. And that is what you want. When you apply for a job, you want to grab the attention of someone who's looking at your resume. All right. So I have a few more slides that just to highlight. So just to wrap up this. So remember so we were talking about highlighting your transferable skills. So the next thing now, so you have worked on your resume. The next thing is to use your cover letter to your advantage, right? So you've highlighted the list. And if you're using that, that type of resume, you know, you have highlighted your skills, but now you want to make sure that the job itself that you're applying for, you are writing a cover letter, and you want to make sure that if they didn't see this in my resume, they must know about it. So this is how I'm going to tell them how these skills that I have relate to this job that I'm applying for. So you use your transferable skills to your advantage when you are writing a convincing cover letter. Now, if this job is a change of career or a change of industry, this is even more important and very, very critical, because this is where you are going to focus on providing examples of how you've used this skill in the past, in another role, in another place, and explain how these unique skills that you have are going to solve the problem that this company that you are now looking for a job in has. Now, some people say that, some people might say, oh, why, I'm changing a new role. People might become daunted, but look, don't be daunted. Highlight the skills. And sometimes hiring managers can become a little bit afraid of people who are changing careers. But if you are able to sell those skills and show how not only am I bringing these skills that you need, but I'm also bringing experience from another area that you have not yet experienced. And this is how I am different from every other candidate that's applying for this job. And then the last thing I want to say on this is display your portfolio of work and transferable skill. Have you heard about a platform called LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. And if I was going to show my LinkedIn profile to show you how I have used my transferable skills. I have successfully got jobs on LinkedIn to the point where I am headhunted by people who are recruiting on LinkedIn. And you know how they find me? There's a place on my resume called skills on LinkedIn. And people, they have an algorithm that they use, and they search for candidates who have these skills in their profile. And if you are really good, the algorithm will pick you up. And I tell you I have appeared in the top 5% of so many jobs in my field, but not just my field, in the general development field. And that is how transferable skills really set you apart. If you have a website or a blog, you can use that as well to demonstrate how your transferable skills. All right. And the third thing, so the first thing was you identify the skill. Second one was to highlight them. And then the third one is marketing it. And I've touched a little bit on this already. First thing you need to do, make sure you combine your passion with your work, right? If you take advantage of your transferable skills, you can move into different roles and industries that you are
genuinely love what you do.
Yes. Combine your work with your passion. So I am passionate about research, and I just take that with me. Evaluation. Evaluation is something that I have learned along the way doing my work. I now have a job that I teach people how to do this every single day because I love to do it so much, right? So you can research the industry that you are interested in. What is it like to work there? And you can talk to people, get into the industry, network with people, ask for their feedback, and send your CV to somebody. Just say, look, I'd love your honest feedback about my CV. I'm really looking at getting into the industry. Look at these skills that I have. Tell me how I would be able, what jobs would suit me, or what roles could I be applying for based on my skills. The next thing you need to do is to make sure you do your research. You need to increase your understanding of that industry or that job. The ways you can do that is you can identify. So if you want to come into public health, and people do this with me a lot, graduates or people in education who are trying to come into public health, or some people really find the international development a very interesting area, but they've never worked in the field. They sometimes say, hey, what was it like working with the World Health Organization? What was it like working, in these big international organizations? I'd love to go there, but I'd like to have an idea. How do I position myself to become a competitive candidate for a job in the industry? Another thing that has worked beautifully for many people is temporary roles. Can I share you a little story? Remember when I showed you my skills, my CV, that pretty one, and then I had the bubbles on the side that shows you on my job? There was a job where I had a role called Caribbean Burden of Illness consultant. I was running this big project that they had 8 countries in the Caribbean that was participating in this public health study. And I got hired from Jamaica to go to Trinidad, where the regional coordination was to run the study in the whole Caribbean. Do you know how I got that assignment? While I was working as a public health inspector, when I did my master's, I went to work for them on a temporary assignment as a work placement. During that work placement, the manager saw my transferable skills. And she recognized that how skilled I was in all of these areas. And when she needed someone to run the study, she said, this person would be perfect. She knows how to coordinate things. She has the right attitude. She has the analytical skills, and she knows how to talk to people. And they called me from Jamaica and said, come, I want you to run this study. When I finished my time running the regional one, I got back to Jamaica. We started the study in Jamaica. And you know what? The Ministry of Health called me. I was working in the Northeast region at the time. And they asked me to come and run the study in Jamaica. And that's how I started to develop all these high-level research skills. It was almost serendipitously, right? So a good way. And when I went to work in Trinidad at the Caribbean Epidemiology Center, I whet my appetite for working in the international sector. I saw the joy that people had supporting people in multiple countries. It felt good. I love the idea of, engaging with people in different countries. It was my first time. I absolutely loved it. And you know what? I developed an appetite for working in the international development space. And since then, I've worked in multiple roles in international development, and I've taken those skills with me, and those skills are what helps me to get those jobs. Next thing you should do is to tailor your job search. So you look for you have specific goals, and you update your resume and your online social profiles to match your qualifications, but also highlighting those transferable skills, right? And again, you make sure that you use your cover letter to your advantage, and you highlight those skills, and communicate your transferable skills in an interview. I will say this to you. The interview is your chance to demonstrate how passionate you really are and what you bring to the industry, and preparation is the key. Make sure you are using examples to demonstrate this, all right?
So shift up your resume so you can get the interview. That's the first thing. Because I've created resume and done application letters and done interview and wondered why.
Yeah.
So
and
if it is that the competition, if the competition is using these new styles and we're stuck using these old styles that are on Microsoft Word and not keeping up with the Joneses, then that could be something that impact. Even though I might have put my LinkedIn skills and link and so forth there, that may make a difference.
Look, it's the template itself is probably a minor. So don't get hung up with the template, because if you have structured your resume, it doesn't matter. The catchy, eye-catching one is fine. But if you have a simple resume with your name, you can also use a play on words in terms of the size of your font or the type of fonts you use. So you make sure you have big, bold headings, underline stuff, using your, bold and indentation. Those things are fine. So it doesn't have to be a pictorial one. The important thing, though, is how you highlight your skills. So if you're going to write it with your hand, it doesn't matter. If you're writing your resume, whether you're using your hand or a traditional, just blank, plain, bland word template, or you're using a beautiful one, it still doesn't matter. You can make it as pretty as possible. If you don't highlight the skills and grab me, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, you're not going to get you anywhere, right?
You're looking for
what
skills.
Is important? Okay. So what is important, if you're talking about transferable skills, make sure you understand your skills and communicate those skills. And it's good to have examples of how that skill has served you effectively in a previous role or in a volunteer position. I use stuff like even my role in the church. The church is one of the best places. Let me tell you something, if you don't have a job, to do and you can't find work, find a work to do in the church. Let me tell you, you will gain, find something to do in your community, your church, or whatever faith-based organization you're connected to. Do something voluntarily and build your skills and experience and write that on your resume. In Australia, where I live, no experience is discounted. If you haven't worked for a paid job, it does not matter. In Australia, any work is work, whether you get paid for it or not.
Really? Wow.
Yes, work is work, whether you are getting paid or not. As long as you've worked, you can put it on your resume. And I encourage you, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, if you have volunteer positions and you have gained skills put it on your resume, start something new. If in your country, they don't recognize volunteer positions, start putting it there today and see what happens. You will start a revolution, all right? And let me just wrap this up. We're coming down to the end. So we've talking about identifying your transferable skills. We've said you should highlight them. And we've said, no, you must market them. But an important aspect of all of this is how do you translate it? And I think this is the part that you're talking about. If you don't understand how your skills translate, you won't be able to communicate them. Yeah. And it's important that once you've understood them, you have to connect the dots for the recruiters and you have to get rid of the jargon. How do I do that? Human resource professionals, they evaluate people with a linear career paths. So this is something that, as you said, Lisa, that a lot of HR managers, they are stuck. So in the same way, yeah, they are stuck in the traditional. And they like to see people who have got a linear, it means that your career has continued. You came up the ranks, you started here, then you moved up the ranks to this role. They tend to like that. The disadvantage of this is if you are moving to a new field, to a new career or a new industry, people will say, oh, you're not the typical candidate, and they might become wary of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are new. However, the advantage, though, and I've mentioned it before, is that you have skills that other applicants don't have that will set you apart. So if you understand how these skills translate into the new industry, you can now say to people, well, I have worked in, like me, I've worked in the health industry for 27 years. But I recognize that I have analytical skills, evaluation skills, I can teach. I have community engagement skills that you need in the automotive industry. And I like cars. And I feel like I'm at a place in my career, my professional life, when I want to take all this analytical and innovation and technological skills into the area where the cars are, because I'm really passionate about cars. But guess what? I also understand the community that drive cars because they have come to my clinic all these years. I understand what kind of car people drive. I understand the transport industry. So if I'm moving from health to the transportation industry, the advantage I am bringing is I have a complete understanding of the health industry and how people move around for health as a patient and as a health worker. So I am bringing that nobody else is coming with. So I can give you insights into the health industry. Let's say you want to develop a new transportation system for people in the health industry. Who best to hire than someone who knows the health industry inside out? So the next thing you want to do is to connect the dots for the recruiters. You are going to show them why your skills are valuable. And that is the biggest hurdle that you have to cross. So this is if you are moving to another area, all right? If you're working in your own field, this is important because let's say you are in education. You used to teach in the vocational education sector, but now you want to move into mainstream education, in higher education, and you're not just using skills-based training anymore. But when you go to say, we want to work for the University of the West Indies, and then you can say to them, I have tons of working experience in the vocational educational sector that you need, because when your medical students need to do their practicum, you need someone who can assess them practically, which is a skill. So, I'm using that as an example. So you're going to show them how your skills can fit the gap, right? And you know how to show them why your skills will make you the best person for that job. Now, one of the things that we fall down on oftentimes is the jargon. I am a healthcare worker, and let me tell you, I talk about patients and I talk about, health needs and health outcomes. But if I can remove some of the jargon out of it and talk in general terms, that will help me, because it is while it is crucial for me to use that kind of jargon when I'm speaking to people in my industry, it can hinder me when I want to change careers or if I want to go into another area. So I now must be able to change the jargon that is specific to the health industry and use more generic words that will help me in a broader context. And it's important to keep the message simple, focus on the skills and how they can benefit the industry. And this is probably going to be my second to last slide. So you might be saying, she said a lot about these skills. Why? What does it really matter? Of course it does. Transferable skills are the way of the future, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Many people may get this impression that your transferable skills are, the technical skills are the really important one. But as I said when I started this, that with an increase in the use of automation and artificial intelligence and technological solutions, the need for transferable skills become more important. Your soft skills may get the impression that soft skills are less important than hard skills, because some employees and the traditionalists, they love the strong transferable skills that are more hard, and because they improve workplace productivity and overall profits. But let me tell you something. Your soft skills are going to set you apart, because with automation and an increase in the use of machines and technology, it is those soft skills that are going to set you apart, because there are things you cannot automate. A smile. You cannot automate engagement with people. And although the artificial intelligence is coming and it's useful, there are things, those soft, interpretive and critical analytical skills, those skills, yes, they can create something that is pretty and flash, but you are the one who will have to put the idea. So that critical thinking, that analytical skills, those interpersonal relational skills, you cannot get a computer to do that. And so soft skills will increase as automation replaces previous jobs. And research has shown that those transferable skills are what's going to make a difference in the future.
Explain to those who just joined, because some persons joined TikTok late, what the soft skills are again. Just a quick breakdown. As you say, the soft skills are those skills that will be in demand. Mm-hmm.
So the soft skills, as I said, are those skills that are mainly the transferable ones, the ones you can take from one place to the other. And it's usually around the interpersonal skills, the communication skills, some of those things that you cannot automate it. Your soft skills are the skills that you often use to communicate and to interpret things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So community engagement, face-to-face interactions, critical analytics, questioning, interpreting, critical analytics, interviewing. Some of these things you can automate them, but as time goes by, a lot of these skills, they will be needed to help the industries that you work in to give them a competitive advantage. Because if everybody's using machinery and all the machines are saying the same bland, dull conversation, you need that human element that sets you apart. So, let's give an example. In 2017, a study found that a garment workers trained in skills like communication, time management, problem solving, financial and management, and legal literacy, decision-making skills, these were considerably more productive than workers who received no training. Ultimately, researchers have found that the garment factory reaped a 256% return on investment as a result of upskilling their workers with these skills. So in the near future, they are saying that with the increase in technology, these skills are going to become increasingly important. All right. So they've found that various skills are, as with time, over time, there's a change in the total number of hours that require these skills. So in this table, you see physical and manual skills. The need for those physical and manual skills are decreasing because now you can use a machine to do it. The physical and manual skill, the basic cognitive skills like coming up with an idea, the writing and displaying, that one we can use a computer to do it. However, the higher cognitive skills like interpretation and strategic thinking, social and emotional skills and technology, they are increasing. The need for those skills have increased. So the things that we're doing here today to be able to present a PowerPoint, I can automate this PowerPoint, but the PowerPoint cannot give the examples that I'm giving you today.
Through so the real life experience.
The real life experience, right? And yes, if I put AI, the AI can maybe find a few examples from the internet, but the interpretation and the meaning, what does that mean? And what does it mean for my business or my job or my industry 10 years down the road? You need a human being to do that, all right?
So the limitation, you can't ask questions because I find with AI, that's like with Chat GPT, some of the answers not true. It's just generic. They think that this example happens all over the world. And some of that you have to research to see if it's true. It's misleading, can be misleading.
And it's not specific to your area. So they might give you a very generic answer. But what if you need something that is tailored, culturally representative and culturally specific? You need someone who understands the culture to interpret that, right? So just to wrap up, look, I know we're probably out of time, but to nurture and develop these skills, you need to practice your skills. So as you are working each day, begin to practice them, and you can make a discipline of writing them down, build your knowledge, and you can also upskill. I have done that quite effectively throughout my career. So just to wrap up, maybe just to give you a little bit more insight. So practicing, when I started my PhD, as I told you, doing my PhD, I worked in some hospitals, and I had to go to extract data from paper-based records. That's data mining. And you know what? Later on, my PhD supervisor, actually, they developed like this automated.
Really?
Yes.
They developed data mining had to be something more complex.
This is basic traditional data mining. But now they have automated data mining. And while I was doing my PhD, they had this other student who came, and he was into information technology. He was into that analytics. And the guy developed a technology platform to do data mining, something that I took 2.5 years sitting in the belly of a hospital, collecting data from, but they only had paper-based records. So as more things become automated, as records become electronic, then I don't need to spend 2 years collecting data from a hospital anymore. All right. So data mining. Then on the right side, this is a photo of me in 2013 supporting the training and capacity building of nurses and midwives from Pacific Island countries in research skills. These are people who came, they're very senior people, as you can see. I probably was younger than everybody else in that photo. They were very high-level senior people, but they had zero research skills. And I was basically showing them how you can go on Google Scholar to search for a journal article, how you can summarize evidence from an article, how to write a bibliography. This is something I did. And you can get this experience through on-the-job training. You can do exchange programs. You can volunteer and serve. So that's practicing. The other thing is doing continuing professional education and professional development. You can do in-service training, and there are photos of me on the left. That's me in Malawi, in Southern Africa, right? This is a country in Southern Africa. I went there at the invitation of this gentleman on the right side, who was the president of the International Federation of Environmental Health, to present on my research. And in the middle here, that's me in Albuquerque. I left Malawi, traveled to Albuquerque, New Mexico for another conference to present on my work that I was doing here in Australia. And on the right side there, that's my ResearchGate screen. It shows you some of the things that I've done, etc. Reading peer review, keep up with the latest evidence in the field, read in peer-reviewed articles, talk to people, network, right? And the last one is advanced training, right? On the left there, I told you about some of the work I've done internationally. On the left, that's me in Fijian traditional wear. I'm actually working as an monitoring and evaluation advisor for Australian government in Fiji, advising the government on their aid program. And I was able to travel to soak up the culture and just learn all these skills. There are lots of free courses online. We run our own courses here. If you are into different things, what we are doing today, take advantage of these things. And of course, if you're in the health field, the WHO has these local free courses through their WHO open platform that provides high quality recognized continuing education courses. There's edX and lots of other platforms. There's HubSpot if you're in business. HubSpot, HubSpot, is an online platform that offers a lot of free resources for people in business. You can find lots of free templates there, etc. All right. So in summary, I'm going to close now. The message is really clear. Neither employees nor employers should underestimate the value of transferable skills. Transferable skills, you can use them to increase your workplace productivity, and these skills are becoming more valuable. You can use them to increase your competitive advantage, sets you apart in the marketplace. So the value you offer in the job market is more important, and it gives you that competitive advantage. You can use your soft skills to strategically position yourself or your business for the future. And I'd love to say to you, whatever you do, remember that you are likely to already have a wide range of these skills that are valuable to you in your next role, in your next workplace, or in your next job. And you have these skills that you can use throughout your life. There are some reading material there. I can pop those into the chat for you if you would like. But I'd love to, if you need to contact me, if you need someone to mentor you, if you'd love to hear more about some of this information, please feel free to reach out to me. I run a professional consulting business. If you have a business place, you'd like me to teach your staff how to do this, how to strategically position themselves in the marketplace, how to position your business, I can help you with communicating some of this information to your staff. And so you can email me at aretepro-consult, that's ARETEPRO consult@gmail.com. And I've got a Facebook page, ARETE Pro Consult. You can find that on Facebook. So I'm going to stop here for now. And if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to take a few questions from you.
All right, let me just check and see if there is any question on anything in the YouTube chat, just in case. Not seeing anything, any question. Wow, I believe we need to have you again, because you have opened up my eyes. I feel like, let me get back up to the Zoom. I feel like I've been left behind, Dr. Larity. I'm still stuck in 2003, 2004, and this is 2023, right?
Mm.
Such an informative, eye-opening, energetic, engaging session. I do hope that persons will contact you at Arete Pro Consulting. You surprised me when I saw you begin to talk about resume. That floored me. I didn't expect anything like this in your presentation. I haven't seen a resume writing session in years. So I thought, okay, she was just going to talk about, oh, as a leader now, what is it that you're expecting from your staff? And but you really, really surprised me with what you presented to us today. From the GCNS workspace and the creative biz coach, we extend a hearty thank you to Dr. Larty for the professionalism and what she contributed to today's segment. And I'm sure for those who come on later on who get to watch this program on YouTube, right, post show. And for those who are here on TikTok, feel free to say something so I can tell her she's not able to see you guys on TikTok. So send something in the comment so that she know that you appreciate her efforts today. Thank you very, very much. And this tape is here for you to even share with your group, your members, your viewers, and young people who, and not just young people. I believe even though I might have a master's degree, I was really floored with that resume. So training is important for everybody. Training is lifelong, learning is lifelong, and we have to just bear this in mind that there's no one person who knows everything. We must continuously improve ourselves. So on the behalf of the Creative Biz Coach and GCNS, we want to thank you so much for offering your time. Dr. Larty will be coming again tomorrow. Let me tell you something, people. I can't pay her for these services, You see, she has a title named doctor. But we need it. So I'm imploring you to call out your friends, call out your neighbor, tell everybody we have Dr. Larty, a Jamaican living in Australia, representing Asia and the Pacific, who is sharing tomorrow again on the Creative Biz Coaches platform, on the Holistic Healing Ministries platform. We begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow for our leadership webinar series. We begin first by business promotion. So Dr. Larty, feel free to come tomorrow morning at 10 so you can share on Arete Pro Consulting. Yes, man. Come with your flyer, come with your virtual business card, and we can use the Zoom same way here, and you let people know what it is that you have to offer, right? At 10 a.m. is going to be your 10 or 11 p.m. tomorrow night. That's going to be Saturday night at 11.
1 a.m. probably.
1 a.m. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She see so many hours, more than 14 hours ahead of us here in Jamaica. So it's a sacrifice. Right now it's morning. What time is it now for you? It's 7 p.m. here, Jamaica time, 8 in the US.
9:48.
8:48. So 9:48. So it's minutes to, wow, it is minutes to 10 per time PM. So this is such a sacrifice to Dr. Larty, right? So we begin with the interviews, then the promotional interviews. That's free, guys. So if you have your business and you want to promote, come on over. We have a Zoom link to share. Email me at bizcoachja, bizcoachja@gmail.com. Let me put you on. And then we have the workplace harassment and bullying. Many may not understand or know about this topic, but it is very relevant, and the information is needed for both managers and subordinates alike to understand and know what is leadership versus what is bullying. Bullying and management and leadership do the three different things, but we tend to think that we have to use bullying tactics to get work done, when no, that is not supposed to be in the workplace. We have Leaders Arise by Mrs. Andrea Toussaint, right, at 11 o'clock, and she's going to be putting us into groups. So come on over, come in the groups, and let us work on our leadership skills. Then we're going to have more promotion in the afternoon. We're going to learn business plan, parts of the business plan. Then we have Judy and Wright from Florida who will be talking about building the business from the ground up. She's going to be sharing, having a global and international business. So she should be our last speaker. Feel free to join us. Please feel free to join us. And we want you to share this good news that the Creative Biz Coach and the Holistic Healing Ministry, we're not just here to talk about religious stuff. We're sharing real life matters that impact people. People want to be able to earn and learn. Here, Dr. Fletcher spoke about how to equip yourself so you can get a job, how to transfer it from being a chef to being in a different industry, but using the skills, the coordinating and the planning and evaluating and all different skills that you learned on that job in your new environment. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful day or morning, depending on where you are in the world. From GCNS, who they're actually in Philadelphia open, they should be closing up. Thank you, Mrs. Rodriguez, for showing up at the location as well. Thank you, Tisha. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow morning. God bless you. Oh, and those on TikTok, hello, people. I have my rose here. Feel free to give the diamond or the rose. Trying to achieve my target. I set a goal on TikTok to achieve the rose, a rose, or a diamond, but the rose is a target for today. Feel free to share. All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Let me see what is in the chat here. Okay, in the chat, we have areteproconsult@gmail.com. And you can follow her on Facebook. That's fb.me/areteproconsult/ That's her Facebook contact. Thank you so much. Please do join her page. All right.
It might be easier for them.
Copy and paste it.
Yeah.
It's two different devices I'm using. Once you go off the live on TikTok, you can't go back on it. It's a different setup. But what I can do, maybe I can put it in the extract because they do like a 1 minute highlight. So based on the most popular views, and I can probably put it in it right there. All right. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and see you tomorrow morning. And the good thing about having recorded session is you can always replay. Thank you so much for contributing to our program and platform. Have a wonderful night.